What's up, guys? Today we're going to be exploring some of the Spec Ops missions in no clip and just taking a look around, trying to find whatever cool stuff we can. Let's start with the pit. Now, if there's one thing I didn't know, is that this level is actually pulled straight from the campaign, which you wouldn't ever notice this, but when you walk out of here, it does take away your weapon, just like you're in the campaign, just like there's other boys around here. I thought that was beyond cool, and I didn't expect this entire section of the level where Sergeant Foley's training you to be here. It even pulls your weapon out once you're over here for target practice. Very cool. Now, if you go back into no clip, we can take a look at the entire level itself. We can see that this helicopter is literally just making a circle path around here. Very cool. We even have this AC-130 type plane that is low rendered, but still looks like it's about to take off, even though we know it's obviously not going anywhere. There is this random light inside of this warehouse. I believe I saw in the video that it's because this warehouse is copied straight from COD 4, and that same exact light is in there as well. And even if we go far out into these little random put together warehouses, they're even modeled inside, which I thought was crazy, with collision and everything. Well, besides these boxes, but the floor itself, I really don't expect anything outside of the main mission to have collision, but here it is. And I even have a hunch with these. I believe these are from the snowy level, obviously due to these icicles still being here, because this is not an ice environment. They literally must have just pulled these and copy and pasted, which I thought was very cool that they left these here because they didn't expect anyone to see them. Moving on, let's go to another level. Well, here in Sniperfy, we have the same type of stuff that I would never expect. That they literally pull the entire level into Spec Ops, to where even this full other zone is still in here, which I thought was so insanely cool. I didn't know they literally pulled everything. And I believe these are supposed to be tied to a helicopter and brought in, but since we're in the Spec Ops mission, they must just be sitting here waiting to be used. It goes far, far over here to where you and Price are sneaking up. They pull the entire level. I really didn't see that coming. I thought they would just trim to maybe save on space, but I guess if they don't need to, why not just copy the whole thing, right? Looking at the sub that I don't believe we ever go in, it actually still has an interior. Oh, we die straight in. But look, even the ladder going down to the sub, and even the rocket that shoots off in the campaign level is still here, loaded in, ready to be shot up. And there even is this interior inside, also from that mission where you fight, with a little bit screwy on the lighting, but it's still here. I think all of this is so cool, even the blinking light and everything. And this door just literally opens up straight to the rocket. And even taking a look at the UAV, where are you? It is fully 3D modeled, and actually a pretty good res too. Flying around, this UAV is not just a 2D texture flying around in the skybox. It is actually a 3D model that's here. Another really cool detail I thought was very cool. Even the interiors of the buildings are here, but even with some doors that they kind of just slapped it on to stay closed. They didn't even mess with closing these doors. But going to our next mission, here in Cristo Redentor, we obviously have the main map where everyone spawns in. But if we take a look over here where you come from, you actually have the characters loaded in from the campaign. You actually have Ghost, Meat, and Royce here. I don't know if Ghost is here for his dialogue. That doesn't make sense to me, but I didn't expect them to be loaded in, let alone with this trigger that stops you from going back, because you'd never be expected to get back here in the first place. So I thought that's another cool thing to see. Even the interrogation room that they had is loaded in. We can actually walk around it. There's full collision here. I just think it's really cool how they just straight up pulled from the old levels. They did not hold back at all. They 100% just copied it and pasted and then worked with what they got. I think that is so cool. And just seeing this, being outside of the map, gives you that, I don't know, just a cool feeling of just seeing everything. Even some NPCs are spawning around here. They might spawn. I feel like these NPCs are forced to spawn around the player. Because in this level, you are supposed to not kill civilians. And I feel like these guys are only spawning around the player instead of having a set spawn in the map. Since I just started walking here, I think that's very cool. And obviously even the entire next section is loaded in, so that's also very cool to see because they literally just pulled it. And if we wanted to take a look at the classic statue, we can actually zoom all the way up there and we can see it is actually loaded in. It actually does look, I mean, I'm not saying it looks great, but it looks pretty decent for the statue. And looking back on the map, you can see how huge the map actually is and how far it actually goes with these even side mountains that have this kind of fake water. It's very hard to see, and you can probably never see this even while you're playing the game, but it's cool that they put this here with this fake water and reflection and all these side houses too. It's not even a part of the sky blocks. They're actually modeled in. No roads or anything, but still very cool. Moving on to our next mission, we have suspension. Now, as far as I've done some research on this map, and apparently this map was supposed to be a campaign mission. From what we can speculate, we were supposed to transport probably the president across the mission, or across the bridge as it was collapsing and stuff was happening, and your goal was to take the president to the bunker we see in Act 2. But this mission never came to light. Obviously, I think they had to cut it. But that's not even the coolest part about this mission. What I had absolutely no idea, this is actually the boat from Crew Expendable, the mission from COD 4. Pretty fully loaded in too, and it is the exact one. To where even if you go over here, you can see where your team would normally drop in, and it even has the kind of stairs that should be here, but I assume the stairs are a different asset. They couldn't just pull over. You have over here the little side where more enemies are, the thing, but this boat has mostly all collision. Okay, I lied. I don't know if this is just a prefab for the boat that they just happened to have and it was just easier for them to put this in, but this is so cool to see that they really just put this in. I don't know why up here has collision, but even like the railings and everything, this is so cool to see. This is stuff kid me would freak out seeing. Yeah, there's just randomly no collision, but still we can take a quick look at this other boat, and I'm pretty sure it's mostly, yeah, the same thing. So they must have just wanted boats in the water, and this is the only huge boat prefab they had. It's just so cool that it happened to be from Crew Expendable. And we can actually see how far this map goes, even with, obviously, they're trying to save on data, and they're rendered in such a weird way. Only when you look at them, you see the two sides you can see. I think that's a very cool trick. But this map is another huge one. For this road, they must have just dragged and stretched an asset. I think that's very cool to see. And if we zoom out, we can just see how big of a mission this actually is, just for this one little boat scene. It's so cool to see. That does set a whole atmosphere, having all these buildings and everything. It does look really cool. All right, let's go to our next mission. All right, we find ourselves in Body Count. Another fantastic Spec Ops mission if you do it normally. The speedrun strat gets done in 14 seconds. Utterly crazy, but obviously we can see the area from the campaign is still here, because they really do just pull in place. It's so cool. You can even see how low detail this road is back there, but it goes on for a while, but wow, is that low detail. Wow. And just these copy and paste houses that you probably never see, but you might see the roof of them. You're not going to question seeing those houses at all. And actually, since we no-clipped out, none of the enemies would spawn. I assume there is a direct trigger, which I think is very cool. Like, these small facts are very cool to me. I assume there is a direct trigger to start the map. Yes, it must be circling this entire fence is when everything starts, and everything just spawns in. There's the two BTRs that are trying to, you know, utterly kill us with a full interior. Not a full interior, but a pretty decent one. And once again, I just want to show you guys how big of levels they actually create here. Even though all of the stuff in the distance is low detail and then the skybox, I just didn't realize how huge they actually make it. Because just in case your eyes ever peek over here, they don't want to kill the realism. So even if they just make something you can look at, it keeps it. It's so sweet to finally see that. Like, even zooming all the way up here, you wouldn't even notice that the map is only right here. And in this huge parking lot. It's crazy. I usually don't do repeat levels because, as we learned, they're all pulled from the campaign. So this is going to be the same one as O Cristo, is it not? But we'll take a look around. Once again, pulled directly from the campaign mission. You can even see here where you start the mission. Another very cool thing to see in Spec Ops. I really couldn't believe that they did that. I don't know why it's so baffling to me. I thought they would like grab the area and trim it down, but I guess what's the point, right? The fog is actually just a couple textures. It looks like The fog is just 3 layers of a fog stacked on top of each other to give that effect of real fog. All of the enemies here, I'm noticing now, have triggers, and because I no-clipped a little further, I don't think I triggered the enemies for this section. That trigger must have been right somewhere right here. Because normally these guys would not spawn because they would just waste assets, so they really wait until they know for a fact you're coming in this direction. That's pretty cool. They even have the rooftops loaded with collision. Can't break through the glass though? What's up with that? And this is normally where you jump for that helicopter and finish the mission. I found these 2 black boxes pretty much under the middle of the map, kind of the start area. Usually when stuff is under the start area like this, it's some type of like script or trigger, I would assume. I don't know if this is the trigger for everyone spawning or if this is a script maybe left over from the campaign. I'm not too sure, but they're just floating there. Cool. I can no-clip. You can see my hands disappear, but they do not want you to get off of this snowmobile. Probably for this level, you're probably stuck to the snowmobile. Maybe if someone knows a way to get out, but I surely don't. Even increasing our... What's up, buddy? Even increasing our speed doesn't do it. It must be locked to a set type of thing when you're doing this. Pretty cool. Now, fun fact, when levels are designed, they are designed with the level creator that creates all of like the actual like prefabs, the floor and whatever. And then there's the scripter. The scripter for this level actually said, hey, I want to add in this ramp. And the scripter for this level, it was his choice to put in this last final driving section. And we found this out on a podcast that came out a couple years ago on YouTube. But I just think that's little stuff like that is just so cool. Now, this is the mission that really made me want to do this because I didn't know. Let's see if I can find it on my own. There is an out of bounds trick. Now, do I know the out of bounds trick? No, but I'm gonna figure it out. I assume it has to do with these cars. Oh, it might be. Hold on. We might be onto something. Oh, come on. I want that to be it. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. This is potential. Oh, this is it. This is it. Can we just... Wow. And just like that, we're out of the map. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's whatever. What's so cool about being out of the map unhidden? I'm going to speed this up and go in no clip, but you could just walk this. But you actually do have the entire map from Chernobyl loaded. I assume because this is like kind of similar engines to COD 4, they can just pull it and slap it straight in from that campaign to this one, like they did with every single, you know, level we're seeing so far. And you can even see Chernobyl here in the background. That's so cool to see. Obviously no interior and it's not blown up, but we even have like the hotel where this is even loaded in, where Captain McTavish goes, 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. And it's all here. All with these random shelves, random whatever. It's still here. This is just cool for me to see. Like honestly, I'm like a kid in a candy store looking at all these spots right now. It is so cool. Wow, does it look good. Like, this probably could have been in the Spec Ops mission, but the level designer, whoever designed it, maybe just said, no, I just want to do this section, and this is good. But there's so much here. What makes people think that there could have been a Spec Ops mission here is that there's even these, like, almost areas where enemies would spawn. That's not even in the normal level in COD 4. This was put there recently for Modern Warfare 2, so maybe they had some ideas to use this area, but then ended up scrapping it. Even with this almost type of jump up, it looks like. Still so cool. You can even see the interior for this building, which wasn't there in COD 4 at all. Well, the interior at least. They must have had some idea for enemies maybe to spawn here and shoot at you, or maybe you go through there, but it's like these little things that are so cool to actually see. Moving forward back towards the mission, I'm pretty sure this is when you and Captain McTavish are going through that convoy. And you can even see some vehicles left here from that. I wonder if... Oh, hell yeah. That's so cool. That's so cool that you can still crawl under everything. Everything from that mission, for the most part, is still just sitting here. These pesky ghillie snipers. He is waiting for us. Hey, buddy, do you not see me? Is it like a trigger or noise? What is it? Let's see if it's a trigger. Because I know they run up. I know there is going to be... From speedrunning this, I know there's going to be like a guy right here and right there that run through it. Let's see if we can get that to trigger. Somewhere right here. Definitely is. Yep, definitely is. Wherever I just was definitely the trigger. So I love how they use the triggers to spawn in enemies. Even though the enemies are still there, the triggers are what actually, like, aggro them in a way. Like the guys that spawn here. We didn't even hit the clip for them. Let's see if we can. And it is. And now they spawned. So I love these little things. It's so cool. And just a quick thing, I love for these trees, I love how whether they want to make a different heighted tree, it just depends how much they cram the stump into the ground. Like most of these stumps aren't even, like they should be higher, but I think because they wanted so much greenery and so much brush, they had to make them like these little short trees and just cram them into the ground. I love that. Look at Chernobyl in the background. It's so cool to see and just to know that it's actually there. I'm not sure with the fog, I don't have console commands on, but it's just so cool to see the entire level. Moving on to Breach and Clear, one of the levels that I bet normal people actually wanted to speedrun because of how quick you do it. I wonder if, before we breach, are any of the enemies loaded in? No, they are not. It is a completely empty area in these gulags, even if we get our feet here. Can we breach it from the other side? Okay, so there must be a trigger right here that spawns the further enemies, but when you breach, it's what forces those enemies to spawn. So let's see if I can breach now. And those enemies right in front of us should spawn, I assume. Yep. That guy and that guy. Very cool. All the enemies spawn up here with lasers. Even the door open, which is weird because this bottom one's closed. So I don't know why they'd have these stairs here. Wow, is there a lot happening? The riot shield guys don't spawn. I assume they have a trigger. Let's see it probably right here. No, it's a little bit further back then. It's probably this gate. I passed that trigger and riot shield guys spawn. And they rush out. They rush out. And even though you come here and the mission's completed, obviously, since this is a 1-to-1 of the campaign mission, everything else is still loaded in. Even the press F to breach to save Captain Price. And the game does not like what the hell happened, but it's so cool that they kept that breach in there still. But obviously nothing happens, there's no script or anything, but that's usually when you'd save Captain Price. And just like in any level, the full level is in this, the full gulag. Even the helicopters we spawn in from the campaign mission are just floating in here waiting to be used all over the place, because obviously they will be flying, and even the jet that helps you is still just loaded in waiting to be used for the campaign mission. This is so cool. Even down here, there's some random cars that you would probably never be able to see, but you do when you're flying in. You fly in from this direction. And I love that they put those small details that just add to the world building. But let's check out the gulag. It is obviously exactly the way you expect from the campaign mission. Everything here, besides some things are a little goofy, but still, yeah, obviously everything is just still loaded in. I'm not seeing anything too crazy besides whatever that item is. Oh, is that for the lamppost? It is. Gulag prisons that are detailed all over the place. Let's get in there. Gulag itself still ready to go. I wonder if there's any triggers. Obviously not. Like, we obviously can't get this door open because that's a script with whatever, but the enemies do make their way up here. Is there a correct path? No, they spawned. So the enemies in this map must spawn directly on you, but I wouldn't expect, or maybe I did hit the trigger from the campaign that spawned those enemies. So the campaign triggers are still here, it looks like, because they're still spawning. As we go in the armory, obviously the armory is fully loaded. I mean, not fully loaded, but mostly loaded here. Everything from AUGs to shotguns to TARs to AKs. Very sick. Let's see if we can walk and get some more triggers. Yep, more triggers. The guys just keep spawning here. That's very cool. Obviously, we make it to the bottom. We keep going. Normally, we'd have night vision here, but no, obviously that's lacking. Even the guys right here, the whole campaign triggers are... There's the death barrier for the mission. That's funny. That's funny. Still very cool to look at. We got some repeat levels that we're just gonna skip because obviously there's the same campaign map with different scripts over top of them, which I think is really cool. But right now, snatch and grab. One of my favorite missions. Don't trust Shepard, the whole nine. It's such a good written mission, a good played mission. It's really good. Can't really find anything too interesting besides that obviously the entire rest of the runway from when you hop in the vehicle is still loaded in from when you're doing that crazy driving section. But obviously that is still loaded in, looking pretty cool. Obviously it's pretty barren, but the fact that there's so many planes and helicopters that they just copied and pasted, it gives the area a cool look. That's weird. Not all of the tanks, but most of the tanks have collision. Not all of them, weirdly enough. Maybe to try and save on assets or something, but most of them. I'm not sure what's going on with these storage crates, but every single storage crate has another black bar going down from it. I'm not sure if it's maybe a kill wall we're seeing here, so it forces you to specifically go this way. I'm not fully sure. That Jug is still chasing after us. Holy, that guy is a trooper. All right, next mission. All right, war driving here. One of the hardest when I speed run. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is the one that really gets me pissed off. But as we can already assume, the previous campaign level is obviously loaded in. They go for a pretty long time. Oh, do they just disappear? Yep, they just disappear. And they go pretty far out of the map for you guys to see. And I think they keep recycling. Once some loads out, that same one spawns back in. So it just keeps recycling the helis to make it seem like you're in this crazy environment. I never realized that this plane clashed through a type of golf building. But obviously this is from the campaign. A very interesting thing I want to show off that I learned from Spec Ops that makes this level actually speedrunnable. For some reason, which I have no idea why this is, if someone can explain in the comments, if it's like a coding thing. If you start the first ESM, right? Don't even worry about it. Let them cancel it. Start the second one. We are going to complete this third one though. So the other two completely interrupted. I don't even think they got off like 10%. Now, the crazy part is, once this one is done, if you go back and do the first two, look how fast this one gets done now that we did the first one. It was done in about 2 seconds. Now watch this first one. Speed runs through it. I don't know why that is, but it's what makes this level be able to just be easily done. Before we go back to the Honey Badger and leave the level, let's look at the start of the level and see if there's anything interesting. I doubt it, but it is really cool to see that this is still loading in. What is shooting us? The sentry turret is still loaded in from the campaign. I took it out. It is loaded in still. I would not have expected to see that. Like, even like the little things that they just left because they just were either too lazy or didn't need to do it because you're never going to be over here and they have enough assets. We can see weird stuff like this happening. I cannot find anything crazy to show you guys besides the fact that this mission is honestly a lot smaller than some of the other missions besides the golf area. So let's get on to our next one. Acceptable losses. When I was a kid, this was probably my favorite mission, honestly. I love this stealthiness and it was so good. Now I can do it in like 20 seconds. Obviously, the whole area with soap is even loaded in. And what comes to my surprise, even the DNS is loaded in. We can't interact with it at all, but it's just left here. I assume the script's taken out of it, but the item's still here. That's cool to see. This is one of those missions they have constant fog for. In Terminal, never actually see this side of the terminal, but wow, even with no fence, almost like you can just run straight off. So it's definitely ripped from the campaign and obviously not the multiplayer map, which could have had me fooled. I always thought this was from the multiplayer map, but I guess that wouldn't make sense. They would obviously take the campaign map and do that first. But even the part with Makarov where you go under here is still here. We do have the or the doors here. I wonder if they're here for a type of trigger. If they're supposed to be kicked open. I don't know what's going on here, but that's very interesting. Even going on the other side, there's nothing to do here. Is there any... Whoa. What a skybox. Is that a pig? But obviously that map has that entire section. And going back to the actual playable map, which, wow, this area is so cool to see. Oh, it does have the little bookstore from the multiplayer map. I don't know if people would ever even see this. Obviously, it's not the same, but that's crazy. But going through the mission, let's spawn the enemies in. This is another quick one. You can see that elevator fall straight down. Very cool. Nothing under it that I can see besides the rubble. But there is springs on the bottom, like they did actually prep for that to be caught. That's very cool, even though down below, the other elevator doesn't have that because it stops, but that's very cool. Going through the mission, we obviously have the classic Burger Town that we would usually never have time to just stop and see. And there's nothing really in this level besides just it's crazy to see the outside of the terminal and the fact that the whole campaign mission's obviously still loaded. And the crazy skybox. It's honestly a good one. For the last mission we are going to check out, we are going to be on Wet Work, or the oil rig. Awesome mission. Obviously, the full one's loaded in. We know this. We know this. They even have, I would assume this would be where you start swimming in. Cool. The water doesn't go as far as some other maps with water, but let's go start that trigger, right? And the enemies, obviously, nothing is loaded in because they want you to not be able to pre-fire, pre-see anything. But if we start it, obviously, they spawn in immediately. I'm stuck in the ground, so they're going to die. I'm curious if, do the enemies just literally spawn here? Because I always have trouble. Once that gate starts to open, I assume the enemies... Yep, they all just spawn right under the stairs and start flooding you. Maybe I broke the helicopter and I broke the script because that helicopter is not spawning in. But still, nothing crazy besides an exceedingly fun level. And that's all I got for this video, honestly. Besides maybe skipping to the end. Can we pre-breach? We can. Does that complete the level even though we skipped all the other triggers? Wait a minute. Those guys should not have spawned. Normally when you do this level, you just break right through. That's cool. So that's probably left over from the campaign because I missed that trigger and such. That's still really cool to see. Oh, it's so good. This was honestly so sick just to do. If you guys haven't, definitely just take no clip and just check out these levels for yourself because it is cool just to get outside of them, look around, and oh, it's so fun. I'm not gonna lie, it is so fun. That's all I got for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed just looking out of bounds with me. It was honestly so cool to see so many of my favorite levels and favorite things. We didn't find too many secrets, but it's still awesome to be out of bounds.